Hi, I'm L Train, a producer and DJ from Brighton. I make electronic music mainly focused in future beats and hip hop, and I like to combine samples with live elements. I play a lot of guitar and bass alongside samples from the Loopmaster library and samples I've created myself. Tone Kitchn came about after I'd done a few packs with Loopmasters, my artist packs Future Beats and Soul Volume 1 and 2, and I wanted to get more involved with the guys, create more packs, and we had the idea to do something which focused on the sounds that were found in those packs. So at the minute there's 8 packs out on Tone Kitchn, and with each pack we try and change it up a little bit. With each pack there'll be 3 or 4 producers within a certain genre that I will listen to and try and take a little bit of their sound, try and focus in on a certain sort of sound with each different pack. The first pack came out about a year ago. I've got 4 more packs that I'm working on at the moment, and I've got the first artist that we're working with, who I won't name yet, but we've got a pack coming with him later in the year as well.
Hey, what's up everybody? Joshua Casper here with another Loopcloud live stream workshop. Today I'm joined with or by Luke L Train Nika. Is it Nika or am I saying that right? I know I'm not saying it right. Maybe you can let us know. Just
Nyeke.
Nieko.
Nyeke. With an E.
Nyeke. I don't know why I hear O over Skype. But it's an absolute pleasure, man, to have you here. I'm excited to pick your brain about some things, your tracks. I've been listening to your Spotify all morning. Got some really great stuff there. And then, of course, we're going to switch focus to Tone Kitchn and the packs you've been doing there, which are all available on Loopcloud for everybody who doesn't know. I'm sure there'll be links in the video description, links in the chat for you to go check that out. But you've also done some packs for Loopmasters. And maybe before we jump into all that, if you could just give us kind of a short bio about yourself and what you think people should know before we jump in and start chatting about these things.
Yeah, so I'm a producer and a DJ from Brighton, and I make kind of a fusion of kind of hip hop, soul, R&B, future beats sort of stuff. So there's a lot of live elements in with computer plugins as well. I put out quite a lot of music on my own, and I produce for a lot of other people. And I just recently, in the last couple of years, started making sample packs, and I've done a lot of packs with Loopmaster, and then we started the Tone Kitchn label with those guys, with you guys, sorry. And yeah, at this point, yeah, we're just putting out a new pack pretty much every month. Again,
nice.
Sort of like soulful. A lot of soulful and electronic elements in those packs. Yeah.
So I am correct that the first few packs were on the Loopmasters label before you started your own Tone Kitchn label, right?
Yeah, we did I think it was like an L Train Presents Future Beats and Soul, Volume 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean the pack is pure fire, but the demo track, the beat you open up with on the demo track is so good.
Really?
Like it's just so good, man. So I mean, right off the bat, and I think everybody on the team like instantly knew, we're like, yeah, this is going somewhere. This kid's doing it and doing it right. Because I mean, just that intro it's just so vibey. And you know, obviously when I see a pack with a producer's name on it, I instantly go to Spotify or YouTube to see what they're doing out there in the real world themselves. And you've got quite a catalog of published music out there, and it all sounds absolutely fantastic. So like you said, it's got like a soul feel no matter what style. It's like always a soul fusion there. So what's your background in terms of music production and maybe music education that allows you to blend so many things so seamlessly and so wonderfully?
I think the biggest thing is growing up, my mum and dad listening to a lot of Motown. So I love Motown from when I was little. And then I got into hip hop music as I grew up a little bit. And my sister brought home an NERD album. I remember hearing that. and then finding out about Pharrell from that, I fell in love with like the Neptunes and started producing after seeing YouTube videos of them, really early YouTube videos. So yeah, hip hop's my main love, and then I just love soulful music, any sort of soulful music. So yeah, anything I make has to have that sort of soul to it, for sure.
I mean, you're definitely fusing the two very, very well. What was I was going to say something? I've like I said, I checked out a few of your tracks, right? And there was one on there. I think it's the most popular one, or at least in the top 10 that you have, is "Feels Like." Is that the most popular one?
Yeah.
An absolutely incredible track, and I highly encourage anyone who's watching this video, anyone who's here, to go check it out, because it's just like I said, it's an incredible. It's such a unique style of music, and it's all kind of fits together on your page there. But that one, there's an unaccredited singer on there. I wanted to ask, one, if you wanted to shout that singer out, and two, why is it not credited?
Yeah, so that is a singer called Clementine Douglas is their full name. She's a singer from a band from Brighton called Kudu Blue, and like she's amazing. But that was I think it was to do with her manager didn't want her being credited on the track for some reason, some sort of management thing. But yeah, now she's doing like huge things with loads of big like electronic artists like DJ Zinc. So many I can't remember the names of a lot of them, but yeah, go and check out Kudu Blue and Clementine Douglas.
Absolutely. I mean, I just was curious because I had a friend who did the vocals on a ALOC song, the Jet Plane.
Oh, okay.
Joan, and she sent me a message like, I just did the vocal on this Jet Plane. I was like, yeah, I've heard the track. It's literally, I'm in Brazil. I hear it's everywhere right now. But she was uncredited for it. So I was like, and she didn't get paid for it. And I was just always wondering, like, how do these things work where it doesn't happen? Because you see it quite often, actually, where you hear a really great vocal on a producer's track and you're like, I want to hear more from the singer as well, but you don't see it. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
But I suppose that it's always, up to the managers and at the end, and that's who does the business end of it. But yeah, fantastic vocal.
Yeah, I think it was a sense of it being like quite a different style to the band that she was in, their stuff, that they kind of wanted to separate the two. So yeah, they left their name off of it. But
you're in Brighton, she's in Brighton, and this is another question I had, because all of your tracks, I think, that I heard had a vocalist, and each one was a new vocalist, it seemed like. It didn't seem like I saw the same vocalist on a number of tracks. Did you happen to run into her somewhere? Did you hear her live? And outside of that, how do you go about collaborating? Is it not, the SoundCloud days of let's collab? I'm just wondering how you reach out to so many versatile vocalists just in general to see if they want to work together, or if they're all just in Brighton and you happen to know them somehow.
Yeah, no, with her, I knew her band, and so I didn't know her, but I knew a few of her friends and things, and then we kind of got a few sessions in and worked on the song, and I've done a couple of other songs with her, but it depends. Sometimes I'll find people on Spotify playlists of similar stuff to my own. So I hear an artist that I really like, or I'm always on SoundCloud. Then it might be friend of a friend introducing me to people. And sometimes I'll get into the studio with these guys, and sometimes it'll be a case of just sending stuff back and forth if they're in a different country or in a different city. But yeah, it completely depends. It's normally always a case of me digging and listening to lots of new music and just finding people that I love, reaching out. And
nice.
Happens.
On the subject of your music, it's all expertly mixed, and I was just curious, are you doing all of your mixing and mastering, or just your mixing, or do you leave that to an engineer or a mastering house? Like, what's your process there? Because it all sounds top quality, professional. You love to hear it. I'm just wondering how you go about getting it done.
Yeah, so with my first stuff, I wasn't mixing any of it. So more recently, everything I've been putting out in the last couple of years, I've started to mix it as I've got a bit more confident in my own mixes and things. But then mastering, I use a guy called, again from Brighton, his name's Freddie Mercer.
Freddie?
Freddie,
he works at Plug-in Boutique.
Yeah, he works with you guys. He does all my mastering.
Really?
Yeah. He's sick. He's great.
That's amazing. Well, I'm gonna have to start sending. He owes me favors and things. I'm gonna have to start getting some free mastering, I believe. Freddie, I'm coming for you if you're watching. That's incredible. That's really cool. It's also really cool, I think, that you seem to be collaborating with a lot of people right inside of Brighton, which is nice to have, because you can always link up and actually have that face to face, and it's, you get a sort of a vibe and a connection to get things done, I think, that way. I should be in Brighton soon, so maybe we can link up as well when I'm there. Hopefully early September, mid-September. So let's put that aside and come back to it in a little bit. But let's just keep moving here. In the video that we ran in the beginning of the stream, you said that you pick up the bass, you pick up a guitar quite often. One, how did you learn how to play those? And two, what is the percentage that you find yourself going to the live instrument versus going to a synth or maybe even a sample? Now that you produce sample packs, I'm sure you're deep into the sample world. Just kind of walk me through the process there of working with those, or maybe choosing to go virtual instead.
Yeah, so I started first, before I started making music or anything, I started playing guitar when I was about 14, I think. And it was all, I don't know, I think, if I remember correctly, I was at like a holiday camp with my friend's parents, and his dad was playing a guitar. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I decided to try and take that up. So I did that. And bass is something I took up a little bit later. I think guitar helps a little bit with that. But I'd say it's kind of 50-50, using live elements and using like plugins and synths and things like that. It just depends how I feel on the day. Whether I want to do something live or to do synths. In regards to samples, it's something I'm slowly introducing more into my own production. I was kind of anti the idea of using them until recently, and I've watched a lot of live streams. You see big artists like Kenny Beats, Disclosure, always using samples. So I was like, okay, if those guys are using them, everyone's using them.
Samples gotten a bad rap. We were actually chatting about that before we went live today. Everybody uses them, and I remember it used to be like a big gotcha. They're like, oh, look at Skrillex used this sample from this Loopmaster pack in this song. Whoa. And it's like, yeah, okay, the song is a banger. That's really all we care about in the end. There's that website, like Who Sampled, where you can actually go through and find out, sometimes people sample from published music, and then other times there's actually just a sample pack. There's one Loopmaster sample pack that's like a kind of like a style of the Tone Kitchn samples that is used in like, I think, a dozen tracks from like Kendrick or Lamar and some huge names. And a lot of them use the same sample from the pack, so it's pretty crazy. And like we were saying before, I don't think it matters as long as the track is a banger in the end of the day and people like it. If it's a sample, that's awesome. I don't think it matters. Obviously, we work with Loopmasters, so we're 100% behind samples all the way. That's a good kind of segue into Tone Kitchn. So first of all, I love the artwork. Before we even talk about the quality of the loops and the samples, the artwork you have is really fantastic. Is that another Brighton artist, or is that you yourself? Like, where are you getting that from?
No, that's all in-house Loopmasters.
Oh, really?
I don't know the name of who does all the artwork, but I know all the guys at Loopmaster are putting that together.
That's awesome, then. I'll have to track that down because I really dig it. Yeah. So what was your first pack inside or for Tone Kitchn?
That's a good question. Which was the first one? I think it was a lo-fi hip-hop pack, if I remember correctly. So after doing the two packs with Loopmasters, we kind of had an idea, because on Loopmasters there's a lot of like dance music and electronic focused music, and we thought there was a bit of a gap where we could kind of do more of the hip hop and R&B sort of stuff. So it's kind of all of the music is based in that sort of area, hip hop and R&B and soul, which and the first one I think was lo-fi hip hop.
Wonderful. When someone jumps on, and in fact, for people watching, Rob Jones is with us as well. He's going to come in a little bit, and then he's going to actually do a demo with, I believe, a free Loopcloud drum instrument that Tone Kitchn has just released. Did you put that together?
Yeah. So that's just come out a couple of days ago, I think, and it's some of my favorite drums and sounds from the packs so far. Yeah,
and the preview, the track preview, or I guess the demo is absolutely fire as well. So that's free for anyone who's watching who has a Loopcloud subscription. Just go ahead and log on, open up Drum, and you can find it. But Rob Jones is going to come on and show you that, and also show you some of the loops and samples, and put together a track using some of Tone Kitchn sound. So stick around for that if you want to be able to hear the stuff we're talking about right now. But Luke, what can people expect when they get a new Tone Kitchn release? Like, what's kind of the structure of the pack, or is it always changing? Can you expect like construction kits, or live instruments, or sound design stuff? Like, what are the general elements of a Tone Kitchn pack?
Yeah, so there's a lot of I kind of do song starters, which is a mixing of, like we were talking about earlier, some synth sounds mixed with some guitar, and then there's a bit of me singing all in the loop. And I think it's just a little bit more interesting than just having individual elements of a track. I do break those down, and you can get those in the packs as well. But just something that you could throw into a session, and then you just need to put some drums over the top, and it would kind of sound like a bit of a song already with just a little bit of extra. So it's a lot of that.
I personally love that, Luke. Thank you, because I have to make tracks literally on the fly all the time for my videos, and when I can find song starters with the individual stems essentially laid out, where I can go in and do what I need to do, is perfect for me. So there is a whole host of Tone Kitchn on my in my Loopcloud, so I appreciate you for that. Keep that coming, if not only for me. And at the moment, correct me if I'm wrong, it's just you producing the content for these packs.
Yeah, so there's a couple of packs. I've been speaking to a few friends and stuff. So they've been working on a few packs, which will be coming in the next few months, I think. So yeah, we're expanding out away from just me creating all of it and you guys getting too bored of it.
So my question is, what's the filter for you to say, you know what, I'm actually going to hang on to this song starter versus this is going in the pack? Because obviously you want the pack to be fantastic. You want it to be as best as it, or as good as it can be. And it sounds like it is. But obviously if it's you're this is going to be something much bigger, or I can use this for my own stuff. How do you filter the two? Or do you just sit down and say, you know what, today everything's going into this next pack. I've got my idea, I've got the genre, I've got kind of the wave I want to ride, and everything's going to go in there no matter what. What's the process there?
Yeah, I don't. There isn't really a filter. So, and anything I make will pretty much end up in the pack. And something I've kind of been doing more recently, when I thought, oh, I'm making all of these loops that I'm not using. So now I'll take some of the loops that I've used and just mess around with them so much that you'll have no idea that they're originally from a certain pack that I put out, and then using them in some of my music that I'll put out myself. But yeah, there's not a filter. There's not anything that I'm like, oh, this is too good to be in there. It's sort of okay, mate, very much.
That's awesome. And I actually want to jump back to the drum instrument because it says electric guitar on some of the pads, but it's all washed out and dreamy. And I'm wondering, speaking on processing and what you do to sounds, how do you get an electric guitar to sound like a dreamy pad that fits perfectly into some trip hop or something? What kind of VSTs or even outboard processing are you doing to get stuff to sound like that? Yeah,
so it's a lot of everything's straight into the computer. There's no outboard pedals from the guitar, and then I use Logic. Logic's pedal board has got some amazing pedals on there. And then I drench everything in a lot with reverb, I've been using the RC20 a lot recently, just to give it that nice RC20 sound, and then a lot of just delay and throwing everything at it until it sounds how I like it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine the length of the effects chain to get from a general electric guitar sound to that. And I highly suggest everybody go check it out. It is a free instrument, so there's no reason not to. And then, like I said, just the demo that's already put together is just, it really sells it. Absolutely wonderful sounds, great content all around. Just a couple of more questions before we bring in Rob. Who are some of your influences? I know we kind of touched on it in the very beginning, but like these days, like who is a modern influence for you? Someone that you right now you listen to and you're like, oh my gosh, this person is on the next level. This is, I need to be there. I need to do something like that. This sort of thing. Are there any names you want to drop for us? People we should be checking out?
Yeah. So I guess my favorite producer of the last, say, 5 years is Kitchnada.
Say it again.
Kitchnada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just love everything that he puts out, and I think he influences a lot of the music that I make. Then I'd say Hudson Mohawk's a big influence for me. Love all of his stuff. And then all of the production on like Kendrick's albums. I think To Pimp a Butterfly is probably my favorite album ever. And yeah, Kenny Beats I love recently. He's someone I've been listening to a lot. There's a whole long list of people that I love, and still, Pharrell and the Neptunes. My idols, I think.
I think Pharrell might have been the first producer that I was like aware of who was making the track. You know what I mean? And like, I think producers kind of like, I mean, you're in an avenue all of your own. You have your name and people come because of your production, and then you have a vocalist. But like, there are so many vocalists that are huge. You have no idea who's making the tracks usually, unless it's like a Pharrell where you're like, oh my God, that's got to be a Pharrell beat or a Timbaland beat. Do you know what I mean? I think there needs to be, like, I guess there is that on Spotify, if you hit the button, you can see the credits. But like, I wish the producer would almost be like named as a collaborator more often, just so you can kind of see other work they've been involved with.
Yeah, well, I guess with my like putting out my music and stuff, I just do that as a way to be able to work with amazing vocalists. I'd love to just produce albums for other artists. But I get what you're saying, because every time there's a new song, I'm like, oh, this production's amazing. Click on the credits thing on Spotify every single time, go and look up, see what else they've made. And yeah, I think when I'm listening to a track, I'll just listen to the instrumental, and I'm much more into that than actual songs itself, which is weird considering I put out music with vocalists.
No, I mean, like, some people don't even know who Benny Blanco is, for example, who's literally sold 500 million records, and people are like, who's Benny Blanco? It's like, I think producers need more spotlight. Yeah. They get paid well, but they need more spotlight. Just like, I mean, it's just as important as the singer in most cases. So, just one more note on that. On the Spotify credits thing, the producer, it's not clickable. So if you see the producer's name, you have to go do the search. I don't even know if you can copy and paste, like, just make it clickable where I can go to the page of the producer, and no matter where the music goes or is published, that I can just see the whole list. But I'm ending my rant. Okay. We're all producers here. Everybody watching the stream is probably a producer, so I hope they feel what I'm saying. But let's go ahead and bring Rob in, and let's just see what he's got to say. Rob, are you there?
I'm here. Hey guys.
Hello.
How are you, dude?
I'm good. Sorry about the delay there. I had, have to move my mouse through 3 displays.
I could hear you. I could hear you scrolling on the wheel. So we've just been talking to Luke I'm sure you were on stream. You were listening to what we were talking about. You've already had a play with some Tone Kitchn samples for the demo you're about to give us. Is there anything that kind of stuck out to you that you maybe wanted to point out?
Well, with the music, or
yeah, with the loops and samples that you encountered inside of those packs.
Well, I mean, it's probably best to play them rather than talk about them. But yeah, I also love the kind of combi loops you were talking about there, with the multi-layered stuff going on with the synths and the vocals, and just some really kind of lush combinations. Yeah,
fantastic.
But yeah, you'll hear it all shortly.
So I mean, Rob, I guess if you just want to go ahead and jump into the demo, show people the free drum kit from Tone Kitchn. Is it from Tone Kitchn's label, or is it on the Loopmasters label? Do you remember?
It's
just to help people find it.
Tone Kitchn. I was going to actually ask you that, because I was kind of sent a link to the pack, so I downloaded it. But I also searched for it in Loopcloud by typing in Loopcloud drum, and then clicking on that tag, and then typing in Tone Kitchn and clicking on that tag, and it came up in the results, but it was showing in my library. So I'm a bit confused about whether you find it within the drum instrument or whether it's within Loopcloud, the Loopcloud app. Maybe. Well,
I believe it's in the. You can find it in the drum app. Okay. Andre, who's listening, can put it in the chat, directions about how to find it specifically. Maybe even drop a link to it on the Loopcloud website. I know you can just get added to your cart from there as well. So I'll defer to you now, Rob, to go ahead and jump in and show everybody around Tone Kitchn's samples and the drum instrument, and then we'll come back to wrap it up. And if anyone has any questions for me or Rob or Luke, drop them in the comments, and we'll field those towards the end of the stream. But Rob, take it away, my friend.
Nice one, guys. I'll see you in a second. Don't forget to mute your microphones.
Will not.
See you in a bit, guys.
All right.
All right. So here is an Ableton Live session I've got with Loopcloud drum loaded onto a MIDI track. And yeah, this is the kit, as you can see, in session with Tone Kitchn. So let's just give it a play. Really, really, really nice kit. It's got some of the kind of nice processed layered sounds that we were talking about. You can hear it's got some drums, it's got some melodic elements. It's also got one of those grooves that you can kind of work at different tempos. Now, when I first opened up the preset on drum, it set my project tempo to 100 BPM. So I think it's generally supposed to be a lo-fi hip-hop groove, so that's what we're going to make today. But equally, you could slow it down or even go up kind of higher, up to sort of 140, and it works at a kind of trap tempo as well. And even kind of faster at going up towards drum and bass as well. So let's just have a look at the sounds in the actual kit. Then down the bottom here we have some main drums, kicks, claps, hats, and so on. And up the top there's all the melodic elements. So let me just solo those so you can hear what's going on. And you might also notice that they're being sequenced into a 4-bar groove, which is being played by the sequencer at the bottom here. So each one of these, if you're new to Loopcloud drum, each one of these is a 1-bar pattern. And then this pattern order bar here that's been turned on plays whatever patterns you have selected there. So it's playing basically A, B, C, D. So like all of these 4 in a row. So when I hit spacebar, you can see that sequencer's playing them. And I'll just solo some of these sounds, starting off with the electric guitar. So I'll just solo these middle ones. And then bringing in the bass. And then that vocal on top as well. And now with the beats. Yeah, so that's the kit. So what I thought I'd do now is just kind of show you some different ways that you might like to work with it. Of course, one way would be to just use it completely as is. But another way would be to come in and maybe play it. If I play the notes on my MIDI keyboard with it record enabled here, I can play any of the pads. So I could turn off the sequencer here and just maybe sequence some of the elements, like maybe the bass. You could just record something in. Like, you know, like that. So that's of course one way that you can kind of work with it. But what I'm going to do is use the actual pattern we've got here as a kind of initial starting point. And the way you do that is by clicking on export there and then MIDI. And then you can render the pattern that's playing in the sequencer. So if I click render MIDI, it then creates a MIDI file for me that I can then drag out onto the track. And that then shows you all of the drums that we've got going on and melodic sounds in our pattern here. As you can see. And I've already folded this, but if I unfold it, then you'll have sort of all the MIDI notes there. So in live, it can be useful to click fold just to get rid of everything, kind of neatens it up there. And I've also turned on the headphones. So now when I click on the different notes there, I can find out what pads are doing what. So for example, we could get rid of all the melodic sounds by muting these kind of notes up here. You can see all the drums down the bottom, and if we count obviously up, then if we go up 8, we get from the C to the G there. So that's the first 8 pads, bottom 2 rows. So I can just click over these, hit 0 to kind of mute them, and now we've just got our drums. Just turn off that now. So that's playing our groove. Now we can just close this, and of course now we could come in and we could, you know, mix up some of the drums. Use the randomizer within drum here to say change up the snare. It takes a while because I've got billions of samples. We can randomize again. And if any of them are a little bit full on, by the way, you can always just play with the envelope, make them a little bit snappier and tighter. I'm happy with the sounds as they are though, so I'm just going to go back to the originals. And yeah, let's maybe move over to Loopcloud now so I can show you how you could go in and check out some of the Tone Kitchn sounds and then add them to go with the drums to create a more kind of fleshed out groove. So I've got the Loopcloud plugin on another MIDI track here. So the app is connected to Ableton Live. You can't see that behind me. Connected to Ableton Live. And now I can come in and check out Tone Kitchn, which I can do by clicking on the labels menu there and clicking on Tone Kitchn from there, or just by typing Tone Kitchn in the top here and clicking on the tag when it pops up. And this then brings up the pack, so you can see. I'm just going to hit Command P on my keyboard, Control P on a PC, which just hides the player. So now we can see the packs in all their glory, and I'm fully in agreement with Josh on loving the artwork. Really, really nice looking packs. So to check out, you know, any of these, obviously you just click on them. So we could go into, say, the Dusty Trap pack, and if you want to, you know, hear the demo of the pack, then of course you can hit play. And then just skip through it like I was doing there. While you're on this tab though, you can then kind of browse through the content in the pack. So if we wanted to, for example, see what kind of percussion loops are going on here, we can just filter the product by typing percussion into there and going with loops. And then we can see what sorts of things are in the pack and just check them out. And bear in mind when you're doing this, you can also use the audio filters. So we can, for example, filter off maybe some of the higher frequency ones like the claps and other stuff. And I've also got the neutral dark theme. I always remind people about this. If you go into your preferences, color scheme, neutral dark, and then multicolor waveforms I've got set to full spectrum. And when you do that, you can then see the frequency content of your loops in all its glory, and that really helps with kind of searching. This is not too long a list here, but if you've got a much longer one, it can be really helpful. So I could just roll off some of the higher frequency ones and just check out some of these slightly bassier percussion loops, for example. And of course, if you're new to Loopcloud completely on this stream, then you can see because I've connected it to Ableton Live, then any samples that I'm previewing here are playing in time with the beats in live, which I was just playing there. And these percussion loops are now locking in to the groove. So let's switch over to live, and I'll show you one kind of little workflow first. I'm just going to get rid of drum for a sec. I'm going to bring these bass notes back in by selecting them, hitting 0. So now we could maybe try and create a little groove to go with this. Now, of course, you need to know a little bit about music theory, or at least have a good ear to know what bass notes these are. Unless, of course, you open up drum and you check out what the samples are, names are here. So this is in B, and it's been detuned down by a semitone. Also B, and detuned down by 6 semitones. So that's going from B flat, which is a semitone below B, to 6 semitones below B, which is the 5th. But of course, if you've got a good ear, you better hear that. But I thought I'd show you one way of kind of finding melodic loops that would go with that, because if I go into another pack, like for example the neo soul and R&B keys, you know, if you find some of the loops in here, then some of them are quite complex. Actually, these are all keys, but like, yeah, some of the loops you get have a lot more going on with multiple instruments and multiple harmonies. So there can be a ton of stuff going on. But one way, for example, that you could follow the kind of harmony of what the bass is doing, which is going from the 1 down to the 5, there are 2 steps you have to do. Firstly, I'm going to slice it, so it's just a bar long, and I'm doing this by holding down the Alt key, so it switches to the scissors, and then just clicking on the grid at the end of bar 1. And then I'm going to click on this one and duplicate it out and just bring down my loop, so it's just 2 bars long. And then I'm going to click on the pitch tool here and just bring that one down by 5 semitones. So then all we need to do is make sure this whole thing is in the right key, which is B flat. So I select B flat there. And now whenever we click on any one of these loops, it's just going to be playing this first bar in B flat, and then it's going to be repitching down to the 5th, which is kind of a nice way, and sort of a bit of a kind of old school sampling vibe way of kind of making these melodic sounds fit with the bass line. Let's just play them with the bass as well. Obviously, some of them are a little bit quirkier with like really jazzy harmonies going on there. But yeah, you'll find there'll be enough there that just sound really, really amazing. That's kind of one way you can go with it. What I thought we'd do instead, though, is just find a kind of hook. So we're going to go back to Loopcloud here, and we're just going to get rid of this bass again. Mute those. Jump back over to Loopcloud, and then I'm going to clear the track here. And we're going to go into a different pack now. I think Luke said it was the first one, Lo-Fi Hip Hop Melody. So we're going to click on that. And we're going to check out some of the pads we've got in there. the combi here, this would, I guess, would be the kind of mixed ones, just to listen to those temporarily. Awesome. Yeah, so these are the kind of combi loops that have a lot of different sort of stuff going in. But we're gonna click on pad and just check out some of the slightly simpler ones that are just pad loops. Nice. Let's just check that out with the beats. Lovely. So if you wanted to now find additional kind of sounds to go with it, one thing you could do here is just start a new search for vocal loops. And then I'm going to narrow it down to Tone Kitchn by just adding that tag to the search here. And I'm also going to match the tempo. And again, because I've got the plugin open in Ableton Live, it's going to match it to my project here, which is 100 BPM. It's setting a kind of suitable range either side. Now we can check out some of these vocal loops. First of all, I'm going to click on track 2 so we can listen to them alongside our original chords, which are in track 1 there. And the other thing I'm going to do is lock it to the key of this. So this is in B. It's already selected B for me, which is nice. So I'm just going to click key lock. And now when I click on any of these vocals, it's going to repitch them to make them fit with the chords. It's very nice. I kind of like the end best though, so what I can do is just like chop it here and just double click or click and delete to get rid of this permanently. And now we just got this nice bit at the end. So now we could find something else for track 3. This is interesting. It's kind of an ARP part here. Quite busy, but I like that one, so I'm going to leave that there, and then I'm going to move on and check out some more of these. Some of these are going to be more kind of like background, higher frequency ones. Of course, we could use the tone here to strip out some of the lower ones to find just the higher ones. But let's have a little listen. Nice. Yeah, I think I like that one. I'm going to drop down the level though, back it off in the mix a little bit. So obviously you're getting the idea that there's tons of just amazing sounds with the Tone Kitchn stuff. Luke's done an amazing job of creating all sorts of particularly lush, rich, musical samples that are instantly usable. I'm just going to dip outside of Tone Kitchn though to show you another Loopcloud feature here, and it's using the AI to kind of search for additional sounds. So once you've got your chords here, going back to them, where are they? Lo-fi hip hop melodies. Here we go. Here's the original sample here. What you can do is use the AI features from Jammerhook to search for matches, which is a really great way of kind of finding other samples. So I'm just going to do a quick search for harmonic matches. And what that does is the AI analyzes it and goes, oh, let's look for something that's musically going to fit with this. But it doesn't really care so much about some of the other characteristics. So you can then type in additional tags to kind of narrow it down to something that's going to be more in the range of what you're looking for, like, for example, lo-fi hip-hop. So now you're going to get different kind of sounds in here. Now, of course, it brings up the original sample at the top, so start with the second one down. I'm just going to mute the vocals for a minute so we can hear them. I hear it on its own in track 5 here with the original pad. And one thing, obviously, if you want to kind of add an additional layer here that's not adding too many additional frequencies, is you can just add one of the effects here, EQ, the low cut preset. It's just going to roll off bass because there was a ton of bass there that I don't want. So I'm just going to kind of roll that off here, just to solo it. Turn it off. So yeah, it's going to make adding these extra layers on top a lot more pleasant. I think we heard this already, haven't we? So a lot of these are going to kind of be Rhodes and other organ type sounds. So I'm looking for something slightly different, because that's what I love about this searching. It always comes up with random stuff like a ukulele here. I kind of like that, but it's a bit kind of random. So yeah, it's interesting, but maybe not quite right for this particular style. A guitar might be nice. It's kind of going through some slightly sort of random chords there. How about a sax loop? That's really nice. I love the fact that that kind of cuts through the mix more, and it's adding a bit more soul and kind of jazz to the feel. So that's great. Let's see what other sax. If you want to now strip it down, by the way, I can just click on saxophone here, and then it's just going to limit it to saxophones. That's sounding good. Let's go with that one. I'm just going to make some changes to it though. First of all, I'm going to, here we go, make a couple of chops. Not on that mode though. Let's get back to the normal mode. It's looking a bit weird. I'm going to reset that. So yeah, here's our original sample again. Let's just check it out, solo it. Because the one thing I'm going to show you kind of last, because obviously I don't want to go on too long with this, but when you've got all these loops and they're just adding them on top of each other, you might like to kind of make them so they're a little bit less continuous, because otherwise you're just going to be stacking layer upon layer of sounds on top of each other. So what we might like to do is not use this whole saxophone, but instead just use a little bit of it here, like this second part. So I'm going to delete that one. And then I'm going to drag out the loop so it's 2 bars long. I'm also going to turn it up a bit because it's really, really quiet. Definitely loud enough now. Turn it down a bit there. And then I'm going to add a delay. I'm going to go for the dub 2 preset. Really nice. I'm actually going to turn the feedback down a bit though, because it's a little bit full on, and maybe roll off just a little bit more of the bass. Let's check that out. Awesome. Let's check it out with the pad again. Sounding pretty good. One last thing though, just to show you before we go. Like I was saying, it's really nice to kind of strip down some of these loops. Like this one sounds great, but it's really continuous, has a lot of transients. It's going to sound quite busy and hectic. All right, not that hectic, but there's a lot going on. So you can dive into some of the presets here, or even some of the ones that I've been creating as part of a Loopcloud course that I'm making. For example, the gated presets are really nice. Basically, it's just gating it, so chopping it on 16ths and then making each slice a little bit tighter. And then what I've done is kind of gone on one step further by creating these other versions of this, where some of these are muted and some of them are turned down a bit, fades are changed, and then a delay is added in between. Really nice way of kind of minimizing it. but I've actually made one here which is going with the saxophone. Here it's kind of slotting in around it now by kind of deleting certain parts, and I wouldn't have to keep this ARP. I could go and just browse for another ARP or another melodic sound from the Tone Kitchn collection, and then just the same kind of parts of the loop would be slotted into the groove. So it's a really nice way of using patterns creatively to kind of add sounds in the right places of your beats. So I was going to add a bass and just quickly add a bass line to this, but I don't know if I've got time now because the stream's going on a little bit longer. I don't know if Josh wants to give me a thumbs up if I'm all right to just add the bass quickly. It's not going to take very long.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay, sweet.
You got this.
Nice. All right. So just to quickly show you how I'd add some bass elements. Obviously, we've changed the key now to B, which is actually the original pitch of this bass sample. So I'm going to set it up to its original again, and this one I'm going to bring up by semitone. So now I can play these same two pads and just jam with them in our new key, which is B. So I'm just going to add this into the groove then. Just put it in record. That's kind of added some bass elements there, and what I would probably do now is just search for a sub one shot to kind of just add a little bit more bass on that first couple of beats there. So I just sort of make it last a couple of beats. So yeah, mine's starting here and going on for the rest of that kind of 2-bar phrase. We kind of want a sub that's a little bit beefier like that though, maybe, and just create a fade on there. So it's now continuing nicely through here. Quite like it with the slide, or you can just go a bit more traditional and kind of trappy with that, keeping it on the same pitch there, and just having it as a nice sort of booming sub that just fades out. And yeah, that's it. That's created the groove. I would now just click on the button here, buy any samples I didn't have, spend those 10 points well spent, click again, which downloads them all, and I believe I have it set to process separate files, which is the right setting for the loops, and then I can just drag them all out and into live like so onto their own tracks, and there we have it. Should have probably done that in arrangement view actually, so you can see it nicely. There we go. There they all are. I feel like I've missed some. I won't bother playing it. You heard it already, and there they all are, just in live. So it's really quick way of just jamming with Loopcloud there to get some awesome sounds going using predominantly fantastic samples from the Tone Kitchn collection. So with that, I will bring the other guys in. Okay, you're back.
Wonderful. Thanks, Rob. Another wonderful, incredible demo.
Oh, no worries. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, no, it sounded really sick. Andrea here was saying it's very Kenny G there.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, don't knock Kenny G. Kenny G is on top of the world, bro. It just dawned on me that you guys know each other because Luke has he done a course on producer tech?
Yeah, Future Beats and Soul Production Techniques. Awesome course. And I know you were mentioning earlier on you don't like to produce with samples, but in fact in that course you almost entirely use samples from your own pack, which is the point of these courses. It's to show you that how you make these types of courses show you how you make music with the samples that you've made.
Luke, do you want to kind of give us a brief overview of what that course contains, and maybe people might be able to click a link that Andre drops to go check it out?
Yeah, so it's kind of like just a longer breakdown of my workflow. I use Logic Pro, so I know there's not too many courses on producer tech with Logic Pro. There's a lot of Ableton on there, and Logic Pro is obviously the greatest.
Yeah. Oh man, we're not gonna. It's like politics and religion, bro. We can't get into it.
So it's just my workflow from starting a track, picking samples that I'd like to use, and how I manipulate samples. And then I think I played, just playing a few things in, using like one shots from those packs as well, using like a bass sample in there and some vocal chops, and just arranging a track from start to finish, kind of.
Very cool. Look, I got a question for you. When you're producing, right, when you're starting a track, and you've got your plan to bring in a vocalist to sing, do you kind of do the vocal yourself and lay out the melody? Like, what's the collaborative process generally? I know it's different every time, but between you and the vocalist, do you write the lyrics? Do they write the lyrics? Do you collaborate in any way? Like, what's the process there?
Yeah, I guess it depends on if I'm having a session, it could be a case of starting a beat from scratch, working with an artist to like make something that they like and that I like as well, and then we'll kind of collaborate on lyrics a bit. I'm not the best with lyrics. I tried, but no, I help out and give my opinion on stuff. And melodies, I think I'm a little bit better with melodies. I'll try and sing a little bit, not as well as a singer. And then if I'm sending something to someone, they'll send an idea back, and then I guess we'll go back and forth until we've got something that we both like. So yeah, I'll give my opinion, but I've got to credit the singers and artists for writing a lot of this stuff, for sure.
Nice, that makes sense. Yeah, I was just wondering because a lot of producers kind of hum the melodies, and I guess there's some of your sample paths contain you singing, right? Have some of your vocal loops in there. So I was just wondering what your process was and the collaboration down the road and whether or not you sent certain things along. But that's cool to know. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, there were a couple of questions I think we should... Let me just open my phone real quick. Someone was wondering where L Train came from in terms of your name there.
Yeah, so basically it's very, very random. There was a TV show when I was growing up on a channel called Trouble. It's like a teenagers channel, and there's a program called City Guys. And the bully on that show, his name was L Train. I think they were from Chicago, so I guess there's an L Train in Chicago. And I used to use that name for. I used to play games on the N64, wrestling games. Create a character. It's always called L Train. And then I just took it as a producer name, and I've stuck with it since.
It works.
Well, I mean, there's history. That's going to be in your memoir. That's a great story. Did you say that the channel was called Trouble?
Yeah.
And it was for kids?
It was like like teenagers, like young adults, kids.
Called Trouble.
Yeah.
That seems weird to me. They'd call it that, doesn't it? Is it just me?
Yeah.
As a parent, I don't know if I would want my children spending time with the Trouble channel. and then it's introducing you to the bully named L Train, whose persona you take with you for the rest of your life. It's
make it into something much nicer, though.
Yes, no, he's transformed it completely. Another question was, just in sort of general workflow, your process when starting. If you have I guess in Logic Pro, if you have a sort of template laid out with sends already ready to go, or your drums, and it's just in a drum rack, or if you already have a standard beat, like just sort of how do you begin a project, and are there any shortcuts you're taking to make sure you can jump right into the creative part rather than having to do the tedious loading this, loading that? Like if there's a synth that's always loaded or something.
Yeah, I didn't actually have anything until recently. Watching, but I've been over lockdown in the last year. I've been watching a lot of live streams and taking stuff from other people, and it was a Disclosure one I think I watched, and seeing all the different templates that they've made, which just makes jumping straight into making something so much easier. So there's a few synths that I have preloaded in the ES1 in Logic, which I use a lot. Then I'll have a Rhodes Lounge Lizard Rhodes.
Oh, love Lounge Lizard,
which I use all the time. So I have that loaded up. That's usually a key place to start. Then I'll have like different channels for a guitar loaded and a few outboard synths that I've got. So I don't have to just set them all up again. And then I've got like a vinyl noise thing, which is just muted in there. So it's just like a little sample. So I can just put that on every single track. Drums wise, I don't really load anything up. I always just start afresh. I've got a massive drum folder, or I'll go into Loopcloud and start with some percussion. I use a lot of loops from there. But yeah, it's mainly just synths and stuff that I've got preloaded, ready to go in Logic. But yeah, I definitely recommend a template. It saves a lot of time for sure.
Yeah, and shout out to Lounge Lizard, just because it's such a great, yeah, it's so lush. And it absolutely fits your style perfectly, I would say. But yeah, I love it. And I think it's pretty affordable too. Check out pluginboutique.com for Lounge Lizard. But I think that's pretty much it. We've answered the questions. Luke, thank you very much for taking the time, popping by, and doing this live stream with us and dropping the knowledge. Rob, as always, thanks for coming by and giving us the incredible demo, and of course hosting the stream and doing all that technical stuff that I can't do. You do it so well. But that I think that's pretty much it. We've nailed it on the head, pretty much an hour. So that was perfect. Well done, Rob.
Hey.
For
first time.
Yeah. Usually, I don't know, Luke, if you see some of the other streams, but Rob really, when Rob starts producing, I think like most producers, it's hard to slow down. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, I've got my next hit live here on stream, and he doesn't want to stop. But he kept it short and sweet today. Thanks for both of you, and I guess we'll have to do it again when we're all together in the same country at least. We can link up and really get into it. But
sure.
I think that's it. Unless there's anything else you guys want to say, we can go ahead and sign off.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great fun. Enjoyed it.
Awesome.
So links to everything down in the video description. I'm sure Andre has been posting links throughout the stream. And thanks for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you all in the next stream. So keep subscribed, keep posted on what's coming up next.
And come over to ProduceTech.com if you want to check out Luke's course and live stream that he's done for us, and probably future live streams in the near future. I hope so.
Absolutely. For that and all the other great content over there on ProduceTech.com.
Awesome. Take it easy, everyone.
Nice.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.